This is an episode dealing with the Mandalorian and Grogu. And this comes in from Cult Cinema 83, and it was written on September 23rd. Hello, Rob. Well, today is another one of those days where I'm going to take you to task. Only this time it's going to be different. You and I often disagree on many things, but yesterday on the John Campea show, both you and John said a lot of things that sit right with me, and this is a lot of the things that I guess don't sit right with me, and this is the first time where I'm actually angry at you, and this will be the first time I will call you an old man shouting at clouds. It is, of course, Star Wars related. Now, you know about my feelings about Andor, in which my opinion was a mistake for the brand, Hey, here's an idea. Let's take the fun out of Star Wars and introduce something like grape, something the franchises never did. Oh, and by the way, we are the only ones who can do that because I can't have swearing in Star Trek. The hypocrisy in that statement I can't even measure. Anyway, after the abomination that I call Andor went away, I saw Star Wars Celebration, and I hadn't been this excited for Star Wars in a long time. Most of all, The Mandalorian and Grogu. However, you and John completely obliterated my hype for that movie. My excitement is no longer there. By the way, this idea that no one is excited for the Maul animated show is BS as well. I'm just saying. Let me explain something that I don't think you and John really grasp. As movie pundits, you have huge power. It is often people like you that create, control, and guide the conversation within fandoms. More often than not, they are building their excitement based on your feedback, and your words matter. So I want to ask you, are you just beyond this stuff age-wise, or are you unable to accept change? Because it's like Jonathan said, this trailer gave me and others like me, a Mandalorian fan, exactly what was promised, which is frickin' the Mandalorian and Grogu on an adventure. Wake up call, not everything has to be on the level of The Empire Strikes Back, nor should it have to be. Well, first of all, I would say to you, why not? Not every piece of Star Trek content is going to be the equivalent of the original series, and it is an unfair and unrealistic demand from my point of view. Why does it, The Mandalorian and Grogu, have to be anything other than what it is? And don't give me this excuse or notion again of I was there on day one when Star Wars premiered in the cinema, so what do you know? Just because you experienced something from the day it first appeared doesn't make you a bigger or more sophisticated fan than I am. I wish you would use the phrase that I always use. Ranting is easy, loving is hard. I was so excited for this movie, and all you and John did was bring fans like me down over something that is only a freaking teaser. This fandom is toxic enough without you and John feeling the need to add to that narrative. Anyway, I really had to get this off my chest because this was really bothering me. Greetings from Holland, Cult Cinema 83. Well, first of all, Cult Cinema, I think that's a good article. I mean, a good letter. And there's a lot of very valid things that you're bringing up and that you rightfully so should bring up. Now, here's the thing. I think that, I'm going to go back and say, for a long time, Star Wars mostly existed as three movies. Certainly in 1977 to 1980, it existed as one movie that changed culture and changed filmmaking forever. Then in 1980 to 1983, Star Wars existed as two movies. It was Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back. Then in 1983, when Return of the Jedi came out, it was three movies. And in that period of time, we got little trifles like the holiday special, the Ewok Adventure, those two movies, Caravan of Courage. Then we had the Droids TV show. But basically, Star Wars proper was Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. And those are what influenced pop culture And those are the things that Star Wars became. Now, of course, during that time, you also had the first Star Wars novel, the Splinter of the Mind's Eye, and then you had the three the Han Solo novels, like Han Solo at Star's End. Then you had the three Lando Calrissian novels, Lando Calrissian and the Flame Wind of Ocean, Lando Calrissian and the Mind Harp of Sharu, and that was it. But Star Wars, it was just those three movies. Now, those three movies were epic. They were these epic things that when you went to see them, they promised. Even though as everyone knows, I'm not a fan of Return of the Jedi, but they gave us spectacle, and they gave us everything you went to the movies for: big, widescreen action, adventure, science fiction, fantasy, taking you to worlds. I mean, everybody's imagination was fired up. Those movies changed cinema history. They changed the way effects were made. They changed everything, really. And that's how Star Wars began. And ever since, I would maintain that really Star Wars was at its peak in Star Wars and Empire, and everything else has been a slide down into something that isn't as great. But I won't argue that point right now. The thing is, you can't expect me, when Star Wars has become the Mandalorian and Grogu was fun in its first two seasons. Sometimes it reached, that Bill Burr episode of The Mandalorian reached heights that I didn't think that The Mandalorian would ever reach. But even The Mandalorian in its conception was not shooting very high. It was a fairly simple show, and it wouldn't have been out of place on Saturday morning TV. I mean, it's hardly any great shakes. It wasn't changing anybody's. See, the thing is, Star Wars has never really evolved. And I would say, like you say, that the Andor is out of place. I would say Andor is the evolution that Star Wars needed to continue on as a viable franchise that had something to say to anybody. Suddenly, Star Wars inadvertently made probably one of the most relevant TV shows of the 21st century. And it was truly made by very gifted people, and it elevated the entire franchise. Now, what you're saying in your own letter is that you're not looking for that. You're looking for escapist entertainment, and that's fine. But how much more escapist entertainment are you willing to watch that's the same over and over again? I'd say the problem with The Mandalorian and Grogu, which, is fine, but I would say, from my experience, look at the difference between Star Trek, the TV series in the 60s, TOS, and Star Trek, the motion picture. The scope, the ideas, the way characters related to each other, very, very different. No one, even the people that don't like Star Trek, the motion picture, although most of them have come around, especially with the new 4K restoration, even with Star Trek, the motion picture, nobody would say to you that it didn't feel like it was a big screen epic or a big screen adventure. Whereas The Mandalorian and Grogu looks like, well, if I wanted to use something that's analogous to this, the Batman movie from 1966, or no, I don't know, is it 66? The movie itself, but with Catwoman, Penguin, Riddler, and Joker in it. The feature film version of the Batman TV show is the closest thing. I mean, it looks like a movie, and it also has more exterior stuff and on-location shooting. But I would say that the problem with The Mandalorian and Grogu is it looks like the TV show. And it doesn't look like a movie. And we haven't had a Star Wars movie now. We're going to get that movie 7 years after the last Star Wars movie came out. And why am I supposed to be excited for? I don't believe what I saw in that trailer. Why should I go to the movie theater and see it? Now, you might be excited about a Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but the only thing that excites me about it is if they take the concept of the Mandalorian and Grogu and elevate it. You are taking a TV show and putting it in a movie theater, but it looks just like the TV show. It's not my fault. The filmmakers I think, are obligated to give us something. I mean, look, they already shoot in the 2:35 or 2:39 aspect ratio, so getting it in a wider aspect ratio doesn't change anything. It looks just like the TV show. So why am I going to go pay a premium for something I might as well watch on Disney Plus when it finally shows up there? I'm not excited about a Mandalorian and Grogu movie. I don't care what story they're going to tell me. It's a story that is not going to add to my, I would assume, based on that trailer, I don't think I'm going to learn anything more about the Mandalorian and Grogu that I don't already know. And unfortunately, the third season of Mandalorian and Grogu was such a disappointment that I don't really care. So I don't mean, because I say that, it shouldn't have any, you guys might, I mean, I understand what you're saying, that I don't think that we're taste makers. We're just opining on what we think. But the fact is, you know this is true. Now, I'm not going to take away the fact that you're excited about it, but you can't tell me that you're excited about watching something you've seen on television, but now you have to get up and go see it in a movie theater and pay $20 to see it, when you're already paying how much a month to see Mandalorian and Grogu? I mean, they've got to give you something that is significantly different than what you're getting on TV. Otherwise, why bother? This is an easy, and as far as the Star Wars franchise is concerned, the one thing about Andor is everybody who worked on Andor tried their best. Dan Gilroy won an Emmy for writing. The people that made that show put everything they knew into it. You know, you had Tony Gilroy said, I've been studying revolutions and the fall of societies and rebellions my whole life. And I was able to take everything that I've studied from a scholarly point of view and put it where it belongs, in an allegorical action adventure science fiction show. That's everything that was in Andor, you put it in a show, a Star Wars show like that. That's exactly what speculative fiction does. That's the best thing it can do. And while it might not have as much fun for you, you can't deny, I mean, by you saying that Andor is, it's not trash, history has judged Andor. And I would say that when history judges something, meaning the whether you like Andor or not, the world at large has told you that Andor is good. You might not like it, but Andor is now passed into the realm of objectively good, not subjectively good, because history has deemed it so. Now, I would say that, and I do believe, you know, the everything is subjective. No. People's opinions are subjective. But there are certain things that aren't. And whether you recognize them as being great or not is immaterial to the fact that something is, in fact, great. And I would say that history and time is always, I mean, things fall out of favor, but no one's ever going to say that the Mona Lisa is a bad painting. You know, they might not like it, but, you know, we don't have to like it or not. Hamlet, no one's ever going to say Hamlet is a piece of hackery. You know, it is objectively one of the greatest plays ever written. You might not like Andor, but that doesn't mean Andor shouldn't exist. And I think that The Mandalorian and Grogu is and look, I haven't seen the movie, and I'll be the first person to admit if it's good, but I think it's weak sauce. I think it is creatively bankrupt to make a Mandalorian movie, and they're doing it because they couldn't manage to do anything better. And I think because of the various pressures on our business, or the entertainment business now, and I think that in a world that is driven by analytics, that's anti-art. That means you only have to create something that has already been created, that you already know people like. I'm not saying it's not going to be good. I'm just saying what a disappointment, especially coming on the heels of Andor. Anyway, I don't know if I'm just rambling, but it's a good article, or a good letter that you wrote, so thank you for that. But I don't think that John and I are obligated to hold our tongues to make other people. I appreciate you've instilled us with this much power. I that's very nice of you, but we're not the only people that think that. I think that the real question that you should be asking yourself is, why does Disney, a publicly held corporation with presumably the best minds in the country to work on this stuff, why is it that The Mandalorian and Grogu is the best they could do after 7 years? I mean, these are the stories that we're getting. I hope it's good. I want these things to be good. I really do. But they're not exactly the most creatively, how do I get excited about this stuff? Maybe we shouldn't anymore. I don't know. I don't know.